afternoon and welcome to the Pills Preview Show as we bring you all the match build-up to Hartlepool United taking on Maidenhead United. It is currently 4th versus 13th and we are here live at Victoria Park for this Saturday classic 3 o'clock kickoff. Hartlepool are coming off the back of 2 games over the bank holiday weekend, so let's jump straight into the action and see how Dave Challinor's men got on.
And the best teams are the ones that deal with that pressure the best, and then they'll get in and they'll
Torquay, Sutton and Stockport have all dealt with the pressure already today. Can Hartlepool and or Chesterfield pick up important, precious points here this evening?
Second bottom. Since then, they've taken 50 points from a possible 78. That's a stunning impact, isn't it?
Well, it's a magnificent impact, and we almost talk about Chesterfield season after season, that they gain momentum towards the end of seasons and then they don't start seasons well. I think he's gone in there and almost felt that over the last 3 seasons since being relegated, they've almost had the same squad of players for 3 managers, and I think now he's just decided to rip up the book and bring in his own players from Gloucester City, who we know, and players from lower down, the likes of Joel Taylor, who's coming from Chester, not afraid to go lower down into those leagues and find players to come up, and what they've done, they've stepped up. They're a really, really good side now. Both sides like to press, so we're hoping that the counter for both teams will be a real way out to try and find that goal.
Yanni watching Armstrong closely. Ferguson has a fantastic left foot and he will take this corner for Hartlepool, and it was Holohan and just kept out, but that wasn't. And Hartlepool in front here. Rhys Oates was there to apply the finish after initially a great save by Smith, but he couldn't keep out the second effort, and it's an early lead inside 5 minutes for Hartlepool.
Well, we always knew that this game was going to start fast, and certainly Hartlepool have come out the traps there. Holohan across the near post. It's a decent save, it's a good save there from Grant Smith, but Rhys Oates is in the right place at the right time just to tap that one in, reacting to that second phase of play. Disappointment from Chesterfield to concede from a set play, but it's a brilliant, brilliant start for Dave Challinor's side.
In brilliant form in front of goal as well, Rhys Oates. That's 7 goals in 9 games for him now. Oiliki. Kerr. Plenty on the edge of the box here, Chesterfield. How much, Adam, does it change the approach with someone like Danny Rowe? Because he isn't your typical centre-forward, is he? In that, as we saw at Fylde, he's the type of player who likes to wander, likes to be almost given a free role, if you like. He'll drop into the midfield at times. I mean, there are even times when he's playing for Fylde, but he seems to drop even deeper than that. So how does that affect it for the players around him who are used to a style of play?
Exactly, I think it's a good point that you make there, that he doesn't play as like a natural centre-forward where...
Well, Sterry here with the great first touch. Armstrong's there! Well, he didn't apply any touch, but crucially, Yanni did. An own goal. And Hartlepool double their lead here. Brilliant play. Down that right-hand side where they've looked a threat throughout. And Yanni inadvertently turns it into his own net.
Well, it's certainly a goal that Hartlepool deserved. Just had to be patient for this. Just maybe Carline was playing Sterry on. Brilliant run there. And it's a horrible, horrible ball for Yanni to defend against. He's got Armstrong behind you. You're facing towards your own goal. Just puts it into that area. Just try and get something on it as a defender, knowing that the centre-forward is behind you. It's an unfortunate own goal for the centre-half to give away, but I have to say, it's certainly a deserved goal from Hartlepool.
Yeah, they have been much the better side in this first half. Just some treatment being applied. I think it's how they need a lift, a lifeline. Chesterfield, been a rather lacklustre first half from the Spireites. Only one thought it would seem in Rowe's minds. All sorts of dip and swerve on that, and what a chance it was from the rebound. The whistle's already gone, but that was swerving all over the place from Rowe.
That was a great save there from Ravis, because it's one of these ones that just moves so quickly, and he strikes it so well. As you mentioned, for most people it's quite far out, but for Danny Rowe, It's one of the ranges that he can strike through it. It's Chesterfield's first chance of the game. It's a good decision there from the linesman. It's a horrible one for Ravas. They keep a decent line, strikes it brilliantly, moves awfully for the goalkeeper.
Little gets it clear for Hartlepool. Oates getting back to his feet. He was the man who opened the scoring. Own goal has doubled Pool's lead. So a few minutes of this first half remaining as Nicky Featherstone prepares to take the free kick. Movement from Little. That's who it's laid towards. It's a great pull back by him, and surely it's a third. How's that stayed out? It's not now. It's in from Armstrong. And what a day Hartlepool are having here. 3-0 up before half-time. Armstrong, their top scorer, adds another one, and no wonder he's smiling.
Well, it's a great run there from Little to the far post, puts it back into a brilliant area. How Houlihan missed that, I do not know. But this is what Armstrong's all about, right place at the right time to make up for the mistake. Disappointing though from Chesterfield to concede now 2 from set plays. But it's been a magnificent first half for Dave Challinor's side.
Well, he was given a rest, Luke Armstrong, by Dave Challinor. In the game against Wealdstone, he was an unused sub. It was the first time he'd been left out of the side since arriving on loan from Salford. It just meant, and it was really part of the plan for Dave Challinor, Adam, that they just took him out of the spotlight, as Dave put it, gave him a rest, because they said they wanted him really fit and firing and hungry for the closing stages of the season. And he's someone who just comes alive in the 6-yard box, isn't he?
All he does, isn't he? He's a real poacher. Just haven't done that anywhere near enough in this game so far. But again, another big block there from the experienced Little at the back.
Here comes the corner then. Good delivery, and it's one back. And it's a former Hartlepool player, Fraser Kerr, who's given Chesterfield a lifeline here from a set piece. They make it 3-1.
I think it's certainly deserved for their second half performance so far. Disappointed defending again there. Just got that little run there on Rhys Oates. Had him right at the start of that corner, just got a little yard there, got above Little. Disappointing goal to give away for Dave Challinor's side, but certainly a goal deserved by Chesterfield in their second half performance. 4-3-3 at the start of the season. The timing of Armstrong's signing coming in, finding the back of the net when he first arrived. There's a real balance to this squad.
And it's yet another victory for Dave Challinor.
So there was all the action from Pills's bank holiday weekend. Here on the Pills Preview Show, we like to have a little look at the opposition, so I spoke to Maidenhead United assistant manager Ryan Peters to see how the Magpies have been getting on this season. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us here on the Pills Preview Show. We're going to have a little chat about Maidenhead this season. So I suppose firstly, just give me an overall assessment of how you feel Maidenhead season's currently going.
Currently going pretty well. Didn't start off too well. We're the first to admit that. We went the first 4 games without a win. But the gaffer changed a few things, a few systems, a few personnel changes. And since then, it's been a pretty good run, beating some of the so-called big teams in this league. We've been a match for most teams this season.
I was just going to say that 9 points from the playoffs currently, and you've got a few games in hand as well. I imagine the dream is very much alive for the playoffs.
Very much alive. But it's the back end of the season, and normally, if we take last season towards the back end of the season, we're trying to stay up. It's been a very, very different season where we're actually trying to push and get into the playoffs. And why that is still a possibility, we're going to push as hard as we can. And obviously, the next 3 points we're hoping is going to come at you guys.
We'll certainly see what happens on Saturday. But your last game, a few of us played on Bank Holiday Monday. Your last game obviously came on Monday. 2-2 had finished with Wrexham, but obviously you were 2-0 ahead. Obviously, I imagine the lads were very disappointed. Did it almost feel like a bit of a defeat rather than a draw?
Yeah, a little bit frustrated. When you go 2-0 up, we expect to see the game out regardless of what opposition we're up against. It was obviously going to be a battle of 2 halves. The weather most definitely played a part in how the game turned out, but it is also 2 mistakes from our part as to how these games, as how the goals were scored. We take the point. It's been 2 really, really tough games with a lot of travelling involved. We'll take the point. It may end up to be a really crucial point coming into the season.
One of your big results in the last few games is obviously you beat Wealdstone 6-0 at their place. Hartlepool fans and as Hartlepool kind of know how that is. We obviously done it the week before, but tell us what that was like as a big day out for Maidenhead.
Yeah, we was weary going into that game because they'd just been beat previously by you guys. We thought they was going to come out and make sure that it didn't happen again. So we started really, really well. We got a goal quite towards the latter stages of that first half, which just gave us the impetus to go on. The second half, it was amazing to watch. We was just in free flow. Everything came effortlessly to us. And by 20 minutes into that second half, the game was pretty much done and dusted. It allowed us to really showcase ourselves, really showcase the way we play and different personnel on the score sheet. It definitely gave us a lift going into the next game after that.
You obviously say that you're fighting, for the playoffs. The dream is very much alive. Your last 2 results, obviously 2-2 against Wrexham, 0-0 Kings Lynn, and that 1-0 defeat at Weymouth. Is the confidence still very much within the squad, especially after that 6-0 game a few weeks ago, that they can come to Hartlepool on Saturday and get a result?
Yeah, sure. We've seen a mentality shift this season. We obviously went away and had to really think hard about how the season, last season went, and we knew we had to make changes. And quite a lot of that is down to personnel. We brought in some players this season who were mentally strong, mentally pushing each other on. And with the change that we've made in our coaching styles, the confidence has always been high. Even if you've gone on a 2 or 3 game losing streak, the confidence has always been there. And to add to that, we've got some incredible striking power at this moment in time. So the confidence in front of goal is always going to be there. We believe we're going to score in every opportunity in every game. It's just a case of making sure that we can keep a few more clean sheets.
I was just going to ask that. What you talk about the coaching staff. What has the gaffer done mainly this season? You said bring in other personnel, but what has his message been consistent throughout this season? That there's a real chance for us and a real chance for us to really push on it, especially when you look at last season.
In terms of pushing on, yes, that's been from the start. He was adamant what happened last season wasn't going to happen this season. But just to make sure everybody is aware that right at the start of the season, the first protocol was to get 52 points. We wasn't looking at anything else, not playoffs, anything else, but making sure that we were safe in this league for next season. But as the season has gone on, more conversations have been had around getting into the playoffs. And now it is the exact same message. Win as many games as you can. Have a fighting chance of being in that playoffs, and you never know what might happen.
I was going to say you're 3 points away from that magic 52. And you can see how well the season has continued on from yourselves. Obviously, Hartlepool and Maidenhead met quite early in the season at your place, a game finishing 4-0. I'm guessing a lot has changed, and you can see the table, a lot has changed from that game. But how much do you remember of that game? Remember watching Hartlepool?
Yeah, far too much of that game I remember. But it was definitely probably the catalyst to us making as many changes as possible to make sure that didn't happen again. Fortunately, it hasn't happened since. But yes, I remember after that game, us sitting down, just getting the squad together and just saying this can't happen anymore. Things need to change. They did quite dramatically. We went on quite a long unbeaten run, which has got us to where we are now. And we are hoping that we can go into the game tomorrow and not only come out with the 3 points, but make sure that Hartlepool know that it was just a blip. It was a one-off in regards to that 4-0 win that they had against us at home.
So you say a lot has changed for Maidenhead since that game. A lot has changed for Hartlepool. What are you expecting? Obviously, Hartlepool chasing that top 3, top 4 place. What are you expecting from Dave Challinor's side this Saturday?
A really, really tough game. His sides have always been tough to beat, and his sides have always played expansive football. We know that's coming at us straight away. It's pretty good to watch if you're not the opposition. What we're going to try and do is upset the party, make sure they're not able to get into their rhythm. And if we can do that, then we know we're going to have a fighting chance of being able to nick a goal or two.
For a lot of Hartlepool fans that'll be watching this, that may have not seen a lot of Maidenhead this season, obviously maybe apart from that game earlier, what do you say Maidenhead's biggest threats are? Obviously, I know you're not going to give a lot away, but in terms of biggest threats and possible maybe a few players to watch out for as well.
We are very, very quick in transition. We will hunt the ball down just about everywhere we are on the pitch. And when we attack at pace. There isn't any sort of build-up play. We want to get the ball into our strengths as quickly as possible, allowing our defenders to have a bit of a breather. And when the opportunity rises, making sure we hit the target. In terms of people to watch, well, we've obviously got a few that are on the top goal scorers sheet at this moment in time. So they were going to be the ones to watch. I'm sure everyone's going to know that. But there are a few more personnel that in any given day can really go on and really find a key pass or find that shot that goes in the back of the net. So everyone is a player to watch is what I'm going to say. I'm not necessarily going to highlight any one or two personnel, but we're free flowing at the moment. Whether it's some set pieces, whether it's in play, we will score from anywhere. So partly we're just going to have to watch out.
Just finally, Ryan, obviously you've been at the club for a while, player, now assistant manager as well. Is there a long-term goal target for Maidenhead, or is the vision currently just this season, we're going to focus on this season?
Yeah, I don't think you can look too far in advance. Well, that's for us anyway, the coaching staff, never too far in advance. For the gaffer and the hierarchy, we have got a stadium that's being built in the next 2 seasons. So the idea is to potentially push and try and get ourselves into league football by the time that comes of age. But more importantly, to make sure that if the stadium comes of age and we're not able to be in the league, that we are still in this league to be able to showcase a new stadium, potentially get players worthy of the stadium that we're in and try and push on from there.
So there was Ryan Peters, the Maidenhead assistant manager, talking about the Magpies season so far. We're now going to jump into Dave Challinor's press conference from this week as we continue to build up to that 3 p.m. kickoff. Every press conference we've probably had now for about 15, 16 games we spoke about, coming off the back of a game where we haven't been beaten. A different situation this week. What has training been like? Has it been different compared to usual, or has it almost spurred the lads on to really, hit these 4 games with everything that they've got?
We've not trained, so I can't comment. Listen, we knew where we were in terms of Saturday, Monday was a big ask. We've given the players a couple of days. Some lads that needed work were set work, and we're obviously back at it today. So normal for us, a 2-day lead into a weekend fixture, and the next couple of days will be, certainly today will be a generic session, nice and bright, because we have a few lads that we're not going to risk this morning, and then we'll do our actual work on the pitch and on the grass, if you like, going into Saturday's games tomorrow. But listen, motivation comes in lots and lots of different ways. We've been on a great run. The end of one run has to become the start of another one, and we've got to bounce back. We've done that really well this season, and hopefully Saturday will be where there's an opportunity for us to do that and continue the run we've got going here.
I know you don't want to look back too much, but looking at Monday, or obviously defeat, what were the key things that you took out of that game as you assess, the rest of the games going forward?
We lost a close game, and probably when you look at it in isolation, in terms of you look at the stats and things like that, we had opportunities. Their keeper made some really, really good saves. We probably had more shots, and we had more shots on target, and we had more possession by a significant amount, but it means nothing. I don't think we were at it for 45 minutes, and whether that was a hangover from Saturday and the physical demands or not, I'm not sure. But what it does show is that if you're not quite at it, make sure you do the basics and you don't concede and you don't give away a sloppy goal as we did, because ultimately that goal's cost us the game, cost us the opportunity to not just get 1 point, but to get 3 points, and your season can be over in a 45-minute block, if you like, and something we need to like I say, take on board and learn from.
Is the 4G pitch at Bromley, does that come into it at all? And how much did that play in the minds of the players, especially when you train, obviously trained on grass, and obviously looking towards that Sutton game, or also playing on 4G? How much of a factor does that play?
No, listen, it plays as much a factor as you want it to play. I think what potentially people will think, and players at times will potentially think, is, a 3G pitch means the ball's always on the floor, doesn't go above head height, gets past, and you get loads of time. It's not like that. All the pitches that you play on are lively pitches, but I think in the main, grass pitches are like that now, especially this part of the season, where a lot of the times the grass is coming back onto them. They've been watered. The quick pitches, that's an excuse, one that doesn't really sit with me. Didn't change us in terms of what we wanted to do and what we wanted to get from the game. We put that, like I say, to the players, and we spoke about that. But you've got to go out and perform, and recognise that a game of football, first and foremost, what you've got to do is you've got to win that battle. You've got to win that arm wrestle, to sort of allow the game to open up. And I don't think we did that well enough in the first 45 minutes.
How would you assess the league situation now? A win this Saturday mathematically guarantees a playoff place, which is such a great achievement in itself. But do you still believe the title is there for the taking? And did you look at Notts County's game against Sutton as a chance to still be right in it as well?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I say, we can't really focus on that. I felt this weekend was massively important for us. And again, you look back at it, and in hindsight, if you put 3 points onto our total, then it's right open. I think what's happened, obviously, now with us not winning, means Torquay, I think 6 points ahead of us, so they need to slip up twice. And listen, football's not played on paper, but if you look at paper, their next 2 games against Bromley and Stockport are tough games. The 2 after that, they'd probably look at with teams with, like I say, not a great deal to play for, but regardless, them games need winning. What we've got to look at is, I suppose, if we'd have kept ourselves above Stockport, maybe Stockport would have done us a favour against Torquay, and then all of a sudden we go into a game against Sutton with everything to play for, if you like. That's not the case now, so we need favours from, I suppose, from other teams. But like I say, it's a strange part of the season. Pressure can play a part. Luck can play a big part. Decisions can play a part. So you've just got to keep digging away. It's tough enough winning your own games. So for us, it's about trying to win first and foremost Saturday, and then if we can do that, reassess where we're at and try and win another 3 games after that. If we win all 4 games, hopefully that'll be enough for us to finish in the top 3. If it finishes us at the top, brilliant. But like I said, we're not in control of that. We're in control of what we do. And our first task is Maidenhead over Saturday.
Just mentioning about the top three, has it come into the conversation in recent weeks about how important it is that if we don't finish at that top spot, that we really need to go for that second and third to give us the best possible chance in the playoffs?
Listen, I suppose regardless of winning 2 games, which you're going to have to do in a playoff scenario, and if you finish second or third, you're going to have to win a home game and a game on a neutral venue, or whether you don't and you have to win a home game, an away game, and a game on a neutral venue. It doesn't make a great deal of difference. I think this year more than most, it's probably still important, but not as important, because previously, if you'd have finished 4th or 7th, you'd be playing Thursday, Saturday, final the following Saturday. I think the way it's worked this year is it's weekend. So you do get opportunity between games to, I suppose, recover and get yourself set. But we want to finish as high as we can. That's where it is. And if we can, brilliant. When playoff time comes around, if that's the case, then you deal with things individually, and like I say, from then onwards, it's about winning games, winning cup finals to get you out of the division.
Looking to this weekend, then Maidenhead at home, I played them very close to the beginning of the season. That 4-0 game, when I think back to it, I just remember them having so many chances, and then obviously we get the goal close to half time and the game ending 4-0. But do you see a different Maidenhead team now towards the end of the season? And they're obviously, they're not far away from the playoffs, games in hand as well. They're going to come on Saturday and probably really have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. The team that, like I say, the game down there at the start of the season, I said, as much as I spoke about Saturday and 45 minutes potentially being defining in your season, if we weren't at it for 45 minutes down there, like say, scored on the struggle half time, just after half time, and from that point on, looked like a team that had won our first couple of games, and looked like a team that were going to score every time we went forward. And that tests the confidence of, like I say, a team that had lost their first couple. So, first 2 or 3. So for us, it's about getting back to winning ways against a team that are a lot more confident. They've had some great results. They've gone away from home and won it, or picked up results at significant grounds where they probably weren't fancied. But we know what we're up against. I'm sure they do as well. I recognise it's a tough game for them as it is for us. But we go into it, like saying, in a really good place with huge motivation.
I know you would have done your homework already, but I spoke to their assistant manager, Ryan, and he said they're very much a team that like to be in your face and press and be creative on the ball. Do you almost prefer playing against them types of teams that are going to come out and really, really have a go, so we can almost try and play our football, rather than a team that's just going to, sit in and we have to really dig in for 90 minutes?
You've got to be adaptable in football. It's easy to say you're going to be on the front foot and press and do those things. Game plans can go out the window in a flick of a switch, if you like. We've just got to, like I say, worry about us in terms of what we do. Try and put them on the back foot. Try and make them make mistakes. Try and put the ball in good areas. Try and get attempts at goal. And try and get ourselves in front. And when we do get ourselves in front, really kick on. Whether they come and are, like I say, are on the front foot and try and press against us, we'll see. We're certainly not going to go into the game expecting that they'll do a certain thing. We'll work on all different scenarios and like I say, worry about what we need to do to overcome them.
Just finally, team news for this weekend. Obviously, Gary Liddell misses out. But just talk us through the other, injuries that were picked up over the weekend, and lads that might have to sit out for this one.
Yeah, we're not sort of absolutely ruling anybody out at the moment, but we've got a few little niggles. Luke Armstrong has got a little niggle. Some are superficial in terms of the surface and things. Fergie's got a whack on the knee. Harvey's got a whack on the knee. We've obviously Jono and Cass coming back. So with a few little bits and bobs, but nothing massively significant. Nothing to add to what we've already had that's going to keep anybody out for weeks as such. We have to make a decision, like I say, with the squad in a good place as to whether we need to risk anybody or whether we can make changes without significantly weakening us in order to go and win the game.
So there was Dave Challinor's press conference from this week as he looks ahead to our tie against Maidenhead. For the final part of the Pills preview show, we're going to look at a workshop between our shirt sponsors Learning Curve Group and the Hartlepool United players and staff as we speak about the importance of mental health.
My name's Debbie Ray. I work for Learning Curve Group, which I've been with since 2011, and today was to raise awareness about mental health problems. I think it's very important, and I think it's highlighting the stigma that's attached around mental health problems, and some of them did open up to various mental health problems that they've experienced themselves, or they know somebody who has experienced these sort of things and they found out where to go for help. Having footballers do this sort of thing, I think, will help reduce the stigma around mental health, and I think if the footballers show that there's no stigma there, then it'll encourage the fans.
I think in our line of work, probably something that's relative to everybody. Good to get all the players together, because especially in times the way they are at the moment, you don't get as much opportunity to be in a group and go through something that, like I say, could have a big impact. So I think it'll be worthwhile for everybody. I think it's obviously been highlighted more in the recent past. I suppose you go back 10-15 years, it was something that was maybe frowned upon, and as probably been said in there, you would have been told to get on with stuff. There was nothing wrong with it, and I've probably come through dressing rooms like that. I think not just football, life in itself has changed, and people are more aware of people's feelings and potentially what goes on inside people's heads and how that impacts other parts of their life. Like I said, I think football, especially because of the high pressure nature of the situation, the environment you're in, that ultimately you're judged on wins. Certainly as a management team you are probably a little bit easier when you're a player, but it's something that you need to be aware, because you have no idea what, like I say, is going on with people's life outside of football. We get to see them, I suppose, quite a lot, but for a small portion of their whole day, and what's going on personally away from football can have a massive impact on how they perform on the pitch.
So that is all we have time for here on the Pills Preview Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You can join myself and former Poolie Peter Hartley next as we bring you here at the Vic. It's Hartlepool United taking on Maidenhead United.